So I don't mind the licking, but I'm going to try and just update people. Sorry I'm not really doing much, but hey, the video might contain something that you may enjoy or may not enjoy. Today I've suffered with some struggles, but I just want to go a review over everything that happened after the ablation, um, and just go through that with you. And that would be back in 2016. 2016 would have been June. No, it would have been July. Sorry, no, it would have been May that I got it done. And ever since then, I haven't had SVT, which I've been glad for. I've been actually pretty glad that I don't suffer with SVT, meaning that my heart won't go up to what is it, like 280 beats per minute, like on the fly. And it will not. And I mean, that was happening when I was sleeping. That's the whole reason I got the Fitbit. If you think I have money to blow like that, you're out of your minds. I don't. That was a last. I got the Fitbit that I did in order to see, if I could reach 10,000 steps a day and keep an active, an active, healthy lifestyle, and also to check my sleep, what my heart rate was doing in my sleep. Because of the SVTs, obviously, I wanted to make sure I was hitting those 10,000 steps. I'm obsessive compulsive, so hitting those 10,000 steps, there is no gray zone with me. You hit it, and then you can go home, have like a pizza, or you can have like a drink of cola, and you can do what you want to do. Uh, or if you don't hit it, then you're pretty much, you're stuck down, and, well, you can't have anything. You haven't really earned anything. Your body doesn't want anything. It's going to keep adding on weight. A lot of people have this misconception that I didn't go out and exercise and walk 10,000 steps a day. In fact, I probably overdid it because where I'm living is pretty hilly. And a lot of people who have tried to take my walk, including some of my parents, my friends, they've always been exhausted, and it's taken them around about 2 hours. Usually I power through it in about 40 minutes, and I'm quite good. But maybe I was pushing myself too hard considering the fact I just came off Abilify. And I mean, that's the reason why I got the Fitbit. But yeah, I haven't been able to hit those. I haven't been able to hit those. I haven't even been able to get around the block without falling over and crying for help. And I'd like to talk with you about some treatments that I've tried to do in order to uh, make this less intense. So around about 2000 and it's still 2016, I decided I had enough. I think it was sometime becoming in the summer. I took uh, I stopped in for the first time, and I felt normal, like there was no pain. Vasodilation seems to be a very strong indicator to what is allowed to happen in my body. Vasodilation meaning it's a calcium blocker, calcium in the blood when it's blocked. When veins dilate, my heart can go very fast as it wants to, and there's no pain, there's no ricochet, there's nothing that goes on. In fact, I was powering through a lot, and I was drinking down colas just to test if I could do it, to see if I could go back to an old lifestyle, which was pretty stupid of me. Uh, However, I did not want to be taking isoptin in the long term because I didn't think having something that was going to be blocking my calcium to be very beneficial for my bones. So I deceased that treatment early on, at the end of 2017. Sorry, the end of 2016, going on to 2017. I then tried something called GTN because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's all good. If it's stomach spasms like you were expecting them to, maybe you just have a weird nerve factor." Uh, I tried GTN spray, and when I took GTN spray again with the vasodilation, my head was a lot more clearer. Everything felt a lot more better. But my biggest gamble is that it didn't last for that long. It only lasted for around about 3 hours and 3 hours and a half. No, it probably only lasted for around about 1 hour and a half. So I didn't want to. I did not want to consume GTN or nitro. I know it's nitroglycerin, but I didn't want to be consuming a nitro anyway. In order, like most of the time, like 4 times a day, in order to try and get things going. So earlier on in 2017, I did something stupid. I combined verapamil, which already had calcium in the blood, and then I also combined, verapamil, and I combined GTN together to see if I could find a balance somewhere in between, which was very idiotic of me, and that landed me straight in hospital. My heart rate was going around about 210 beats per minute. I was screaming. I felt like I was going to die. Um, yeah. Yes, being in the back of an ambulance and stating that I'm afraid to go to hell is not really a good sign. And the ambulance officer said, "Oh, why are you going to hell?" And I said, "Well, because I didn't really believe that God loved me or God had any sort of appreciation for me, or that I just didn't really care that much." So this left me kind of like a bit unconcerned, including with the Valium that I was taking. I was down to 1 milligram, but the reason why I fluctuated with Valium from 2016 down to 1 milligram, or the end of 2016 down to 1 milligram, and back up to kind of like six. Went up to 8, and then back down to 6, and now down to 4, is because I was experimenting because I didn't trust my doctors. You have to realize I'm a guy that was willing to shoot himself in order to solve his issues. I do not want to be, I don't want to be in the back of an ambulance holding my chest screaming. In 2017, I decided to make the switch to becoming I threw out meat completely out of my diet, mostly for months on end, and I started to try and get my gut bacteria back up to play, and that worked with controlling the floating stools to some degree, but it didn't help with the heart fluctuations. It didn't help at all. I felt pretty bad, and uh, I was like, yeah, I tried. The vegetarian thing started, and then 4 months later, down the road, I just really decided that it wasn't really working. Well, it was working, but the funny thing is I tried to eat meat again, and then I just didn't really feel like eating meat. In fact, I started to find that a lot of the dairy products that I was consuming of less and less. Also, in 2017, I decided to actually get uh, go to the gym under supervision to see where I could work out safely, and this is where a beta blocker was brought back onto line eventually, because I did sit up, and but any sort of exercise that we did without any sort of medication uh, just resulted in me feeling it, like I was gonna faint. My heart would go up to a 180, 190. I wouldn't be feeling good, and I wanted to push myself harder because I wanted to get the testosterone going and get things going again, so I could get some of that frustration off me and not just spend so much time in front of the computer looking at what I'm talking about, and actually get myself physically involved, including doing some that would allow me to get back into doing some labor jobs. However, when I was not able to do the exercises that were pretty easy for me to do in the past, back in 2010 up to 2013, I back in 2013, when I wasn't able, sorry for me repeating myself, it's just every time I get cut out, I decide to pause the video and then go back to it again. That's why there's so many jump cuts. Yeah, I decided to go get an echo stress test just to see how my heart was doing a year after the ablation, and it didn't take me that long when I was on the treadmill I had this issue before, even back in 2016, which I didn't elaborate on. You'll have to forgive me. I got on the treadmill and I just started to slowly incline and walk up. I have difficulties when I walk up hills. Everybody does. It's easy enough for me to run through it though. I did it back in 2014 quite easily. My heart rate went up to 100. I did a full run exercise. I pushed myself as hard as I could. I got my heart rate up to 190, but for some reason, um, 3 years later, when I'm on the treadmill and I'm doing that, I'm doing a basic walking test, and then they incline it very slowly, and my heart rate goes up to 170. I can't control the amount of anxiety that's overflowing through me, and I don't want to make a scene, so I asked them to stop the test and stop what needs to be done. And they did a scan of my heart, and they just said it was my anxiety. I still call that bullshit, but I don't know really. I mean, he's a specialist of cardiology. I really wouldn't know. They said there was no issues with the valves in my heart. There was no issues with how it was pumping. My aorta was fine. The one thing I was worried about, including after I had the ablation done, was having aortic stenosis. But that was clear, so that was one of my biggest fears that went away, but I still had a very fast pounding heart rate. So I decided to give in from, again, in May in 2017, to give into the beta blockers and continue to work with my exercise physiologist. And what they did is they do the same thing for me with what they did with POTS, people who suffer with postural orthotic tachycardia, where they'd work on my legs to get blood flow going to my legs so that I wouldn't be putting so much strain on my body when I'm walking everywhere. I soon realized that my diet wasn't consisting of enough protein, and that I needed to go see a dietitianist, and I felt like I was losing too much weight too fast. So after about 3 months of going down to the gym, I put that on hold for a bit. And it was working, but I got sick one day, and I got sick one time, and then I tried multiple times again after that, but it took a while for my body to recover and get back into it. Both, you have to understand, mentally and physically. It took me a while to I start eliminating gluten from my diet and start eliminating most things that people would normally eat in their breakfast to get going, because I felt like I was dealing with a digestion, lung, and maybe a cardiac issue. I mean, later on, probably in July, when I just ceased treatment from the gym, because I I don't want to be on a beta blocker. The reason why I don't want to be on a beta blocker is that I don't like when it slows down my cardiac input, then I'm not able to produce as much as I want to. I may be getting some levels of control back, but there are a lot of times where I just feel like my body's not producing what it needs to be producing in order for it to function. And that's why I usually would rather take Valium as a substitute, and the reasons why why I'm having such a tough time getting down from 4 down to 2, including when my GPs have said, "Oh, when are you going to go down to 2?" And it's been around about 5 months, and I'm like, well, I feel like I'd kill myself if you do that to me. So yeah, still in July, I hit being a vegan for about a month. Now, when I start something, I never do it well, but I can at least say with positivity, and I can say with positivity and also positivity that I did go vegan without eating any sort of dairy products or meat products for about a month. I still did occasionally dive into chicken because I didn't know what I was doing. But I mean, that was like a one-time deal where I dived into chicken. I was like, I need something. After that month, I did test with some dairy products, but I found that that upset my gut even more so than it usually would, and I felt worse. Going into August, I've been seeing a naturopath for a while, and I've also been seeing a dietitian. They keep suggesting oils at me, and I thought, well, screw it. May as well test something out, and I did. And I tested a little bit of CBD oil. It didn't have much effect on my physical state, not at all. It just had more of an effect on my mental state. Again, an easy sleep. It wasn't that long though because I didn't take enough, and it wasn't going to be circulating in my body long enough for it to be effective. Although when I took a large enough amount of a dose, my body wouldn't absorb it correctly, and uh, my I can only speak positives about the what is it, the neurological effects. I was able to cry. I was able to express my feelings a lot more easier. I was a lot more open. It felt like my brain was wired. Um, I can only speak about the positives, but the physicals that it left on, it just vasoconstriction. It felt like my blood was not going into the correct parts of my body. And some people say, well, that shouldn't really happen with CBD oil. I don't really know. I just don't really want to spend, more money on things that may get me in trouble or test things that may get me with my past, paranoid schizophrenia. I'd rather not risk it. As for CBD oil, I could only speak of the positives, mentally, really, not physically. It had a lot of positives mentally, but I'd probably have to keep taking it and then meditate on what those positives are. But I just do not want to consume something right now at the moment that may just end me up back into a psych ward. But yeah, it helped me get off to sleep. I'm fucking always right. Fucking narcissist. So this brings me to this month, September. September, I I whew, I can't speak about this month that positively. I can't I mean everybody has their ups and downs, but I wanted to go back to an old format where I was yelling at the camera and then yelling at my subscribers because they call me fat, but I mean it's easy enough for me to listen to those comments and let that anger take over me, and I'm not going to do that. I mean, that was just a prior me that was just angry at his entire life. Because of the forced treatment, I don't have time to kind of get nicky picky into comments that dictate, my weight and how I look or what I'm doing. I'm not going to really do that anymore. I've even taken down past videos where I've insulted people in the comments. I do not really do that. I don't see the point in doing that anymore. It's an old format, but I wanted to return to it today because I'll show you why. So that's 176. I might show the video, but I was cleaning my fridge, and uh, whenever trying to put any sort of physical exertion on myself, there's always the risk that if I push myself too far, including when I'm getting up and, sitting down, and that's kind of like exerting blood flow where it needs to be going, or it's making my oxygen and it's making my legs work a lot more harder. But as you can see, like that, I did my own stress test with the ambulance, and it went up to 176. Either meaning that my exercise shit just went down, but it's not SVT. SVT's been solved. The only reason I got SVT is what can I save and what do I need, removed. And this is just that's the rhythm. It's fine. and it's really just, it goes down, it goes back down to 98. The issue is that I'm alone sometimes, and when I'm trying to clean it, my heart rate goes that fast. And I'm alone, I don't really know what to do. So I end up calling the ambulance, and the ambulance is like, well, you gotta get yourself sorted. Like, we understand taking you to a mental health hospital or getting yourself mental health treatment, even if you say you want to kill yourself, isn't really the answer. Because back in 2016, I went straight back into the Royal, and I got some GTN spray. And I was saying, yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. You guys can enjoy doing the fucking report. But that would bring bad press to their hospital, and my videos would probably get a little bit more, they'd get a lot more views than what they would usually get. But it was me informing them that I'm fucking tired of, like, being asked, do you want to go into a mental health facility? And I think the message got through quite clearly, including with backing myself up with a solicitor. Unfortunately, some people don't have the same fate as me. They end up on worse things. I would be trying to help them at the moment, but I can't even get around the block. I have to sit outside, and I have to sit outside and sit in the sun, as if I'm trying to absorb solar energy, hoping that maybe this might fix my mood. And yeah, I listened to the comments, and I want to go see a pulmonologist, someone who studies in the lungs, to see what kind of oxygen if I'm getting enough oxygen, and that's what's causing the issue. But I kind of stem from two places with this. If I go off and see one, and I pay one, just to go see one and get like a test done, those tests can cost around about $500, and even seeing one can cost me up to around about $300. That might be $300 I might not be getting back. Or I might get some back, depending on what Medicare wants to do. But they don't really cover those things. So it's better to go get a doctor's referral. And the issue is that because of this whole anxiety thing, like anxiety, is that they want to focus on that. And I'm like, well, look, once I have, my lungs checked out by some person who's willing to sit down with me and check what's going on, I'm all good. Like, I don't really think it's my lungs either, because I'd be coughing a lot. Or I'd be out of breath when I'm walking around. I'm not really out of breath when I'm walking around. What's happening is that I'm feeling like blood flow isn't getting in the right places, like it's not getting where it needs to go. This has been happening ever since 2013, when I first went into the mental hospital. And I don't really hate the guy that was selling in there, but I do disrespect. Disrespect not being. I'll work with it. I do disrespect his position in the way that he was very scummy about the way he was doing a business. There were people in there like me who did suffer with mental health issues, but he was being a scumbag. Could you please select a college to go to, or could you please select a university to go to? Yeah, I understand Brisbane is a very hard state. I mean, it's a very hard state, including Brisbane. It's a very hard state to do that without getting caught out by the police, and you must be paranoid as fuck. But I mean, they're now even doing it to school children who are fucking in second grade. It doesn't matter because once you go over a certain level, you don't give a flying fuck who your target is. You only care about the fucking money. And that's why I stated, if you're a sociopath and you're doing that, then why are you in there with another sociopath who's fucking you over? Do yourself do yourself both a favor, and go attack your bloody. Well, I can't say that, but two sociopaths don't usually work that well together unless there's profit involved. And they don't work off each other symbiotically. So it doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, back in 2013, when the doctor did take blood from my left arm, because this guy was causing me so much trouble, one of my OCD kinks is to clean obsessively when I get really bad. Like I just start organizing things. It even happened. It happened multiple times, including like just rearranging things. People with OCD will do that. We rearrange things. We'll go around. We'll be like, all right, we're not feeling good today. It doesn't make any sense because, cleaning up my room or cleaning up the entire house or deciding to get like the outback or getting a tree cut down and it's spending finances where I don't need to be spending finances or spending my time where I don't need to be spending my time. All I'm doing is alleviating anxiety by putting myself and making myself do a task because something else is bothering me. When I got my blood taken out of my left hand, I was cleaning. I wasn't heavily lifting or anything. But one night, where my blood was taken from my left hand, and it might have been taken from a vein. It might have been a shitty fucking doctor who did the test to see if I had any drugs in me. And mind you, no, I didn't have any drugs in me. They couldn't detect anything. They couldn't detect any marijuana because I waited 2 weeks to see if it was my mental health I waited 2 weeks in order for the marijuana to get out of my system to see before I went into a mental health facility to see if it was my mental health or it left some scarring. I waited it out. I didn't just go barge in there when I was high like, hi guys, I'm fucking high or I'm drunk. I have a whole bunch of issues. I waited it out and then I said, I'm not getting any better. It's better to go get myself checked out. But still, where the guy took blood, one night it shut up and it got all purple and it was like a massive hematoma. And ever since then, it feels like the left arm in my blood compared to the right arm in my blood's always changing. In fact, it feels like my entire body, like sometimes the blood is shifting everywhere, like it's shifting back and forth, like, it's very weird. I feel like one of my biggest issues is that I'm getting blood. What is it? I started getting purple veins or vacorous veins. We'll call them spider veins anyway, because I can't say the word right now. I started getting spider veins on my feet and including on my legs, including under my eyes, after this incident happened. So it feels like blood flow hasn't really been the same. I thought he rubbed something in my arm, maybe to infect me with something. I'm pretty sure my body would have figured it out by now, but I think there might be some scar tissue from there, and that it's just really blocked off my hand, my left hand, because every time I go walking around, sometimes when I'm carrying something very heavy or I'm trying to use my left arm will begin to do this, like it's spasming. That could be a nerve thing, that could be many things. So I don't really know. So what is the plan right now? I don't really have a plan. In fact, I get really depressed about my situation and sometimes I just spend all day online trolling or fucking trying to talk to someone because I get so fucking lonely. Most times I really wish I did have like a It's got to be a revolver. And I wish I could just put like a bullet in it. And then, depending on my, if someone said, how depressed are you out of 10? And I could say, well, if I'm feeling like I'm 5 out of 10 depressed, I put 5 chambers in a 10 round. There are 10 round chambers for revolvers now. So put that in there and they just randomize them and spin them around and oh, I didn't die today. That means I can work as hard as I want to do because I was just willing to fucking kill myself with a game of Russian roulette with myself. And I'm not lying. I would do that if I had access to a revolver. I wouldn't go around shooting anyone, despite the fact that I would like to definitely go back into the mental hospital with a revolver. It's not appropriate for me to do that, and all that would be doing is making the mental health scene a lot more worse, getting people on ITOs, making sure that they stay on ITOs a lot more, and everybody would be criminalized with mental health issues because I'm not going to. If that opportunity ever showed up, I would never take it out, even on the people that I thought deserved to, you know. Right now, though, I am waiting for an accessory to come through to me in the mail. I don't know if it was sent or not properly. But I have a laptop and I have a couple of utilities and I'm waiting for this tool to come in. So it's just an adapter. So it just helps me get some skills underway. And once this gets through, then I can go down to a couple of disability serving agencies to see if I can get any sort of assistance. But it's been difficult. This September has been difficult. And we're no longer at September, actually going into October. Which will be not... Yeah, October. Yeah. Which will not be interesting for me. I will not enjoy it. I do not believe I will enjoy it. I just feel like crap, really. I won't continue the video on. I mean, this pretty much covers an entire year. If you're asking, will I use CBD oil again? Maybe when I figure out what the problem is, and then when I figure out what the problem is, I'll be good. Because if I don't figure out what the problem is, and then I start experimenting, and they find out that I'm experimenting, then they think that I'm crazy. I'm not crazy, I'm just trying to alleviate some symptoms. When I alleviate some symptoms, I can get around a bit more, but I get curious to finding out why those symptoms need to be alleviated in the first place.